Okay, let's jump right in. So the idea behind the deep dive really is we take the sources you send us,
Yeah.
articles, reports, whatever, and we try to quickly, get to the heart of it for you.
Yeah, find those key bits of
It's
information.
exactly getting you informed fast,
Mm.
focusing on those important takeaways.
Think of it like a quick briefing just for you. We look at what you've shared and pull out the main points, sort of cutting through the noise.
Perfect analogy. And today we're digging into just one source you provided, covering, a pretty significant event.
A plane crash?
Yes, specifically, this source talks about a plane crash at Ahmedabad Airport in India.
That's right. And the date we're looking at for the event itself is June 12th, 2025.
Okay.
Now, the source we're using for this deep dive is actually a Reuters report from that same day, June 12th. But here's the interesting part, and maybe the core thing we can pull from this particular source. It isn't just that the crash happened, but where Reuters got that initial information.
Right. Because the report you sent, it specifically says it cited local TV channels.
Exactly. And that tells us something right away, doesn't it? About how breaking news works, especially for sudden events like this.
Yeah. I mean, local TV, they're often the absolute first on the scene or getting those immediate feeds.
Precisely. They're frequently the very first to report that anything has happened at all.
So thinking about this specific Reuters report then, which is based on those TV channels, what does it actually tell us? Like, what's the rock-solid piece of info we get at this super early stage?
Well, based purely on this source, the absolute core fact, the thing confirmed via those initial TV reports, is really simple. It's just a plane crashed at Ahmedabad Airport on June 12th, 2025.
That's basically it.
From this source, yeah. This specific report, coming through that channel TV, then Reuters, it's giving you the very first heads up.
Okay. So it confirms an event happened. Location, time, but not much else.
Not typically, no. It's that first alert. You usually won't get details like the cause or the specific type of plane or casualties yet because, verifying those things takes time. That comes later through official statements or more detailed investigation.
Right.
This source really just reflects that moment the news breaks, based on those immediate, maybe even unconfirmed observations from the first reporters.
Okay, so if you, the listener, saw a headline based on this Reuters piece, knowing its background that it came via TV channels gives you important context. You know something serious happened, but you also know you're right at the beginning of the information flow. Details are probably still incoming.
Absolutely. It highlights that difference, doesn't it,
Yeah.
between the sheer speed of the initial report and the depth and verification that comes later. This source shows us the speed getting that one critical fact out there using the fastest medium available at the time.
Which is often TV, picked up by news wires. It makes you think about how often our first impression of huge events is shaped by these super fast initial reports.
It really does. And that leads to something for you to consider, maybe. How does that speed, that reliance on the very first sources, like TV reports, which might not be fully verified yet, how does that shape our immediate understanding, maybe even our expectations, compared to the more detailed picture that emerges later on?
Yeah, that first single fact lands instantly. It can kind of set the stage before we know the whole story.
Something to mull over. How that initial framing impacts everything that follows.